All right, here we go. Getting ready to start the next phase. Let's see here. Can you see me? Yes, I see me. I saw me pop up in the chat. Oh, I saw me in my OBS now. I wonder if this works. Somebody say something quick. Hey! Hey, Chuck, I see you. It works. Now I can get rid of this inception. There we go. All I needed was rebooting. That's it. That's all. All right, grabbing my trusty Wacom stylus because I can't use a mouse. Mice are good for like very precise technical work, like what you saw me doing with the auxiliary effectors and stuff. But loose animation, I definitely prefer to use my tablet. All right, so what do I got here? I got a guy. And by the way, this is hand keyed animation. I did really fast, and it's actually blending. When it went to game, it actually blended from like running and jumping in order to get you into a vehicle. So this, we're going to pretend this is mocap, but it could be hand keyed as well. You can totally do this with hand keyed. So I got my my vehicle here. What we're going to do is we're going to use some auxiliary effectors and auxiliary pivots to kind of like enhance the animation, make it seem a little bit, more visceral. That's the right word to use. There you go. Lupin, Mr. Kitty, and Luna saying hi in the chat. All right, so what's going on here? This guy's going to run, he's going to jump on this, and he's going to hop in the vehicle, and he's going to sit down and take off. But what we want to do is we want to get him to hit here. We want to put some compression on the vehicle, so his weight kind of makes it rock as he gets in. And a lot of times when you're on a mocap set, you don't necessarily have a set piece or a prop that works the way your vehicle works. Usually it's a rigid piece of furniture or set that you've built. So you have to go in later and you have to add all this in by hand. But the core of the animation is there, right? I'm jumping in. So this is, you're going to laugh. This is so simple. This is so easy. You're going to be like, oh my God. This is so easy. So what I want to do is, first thing I want to make sure his foot is doing what I want it to do, which is going to come in, he's going to hit. He's going to go boom, hit right about there. I'm going to create on his right foot. See, I've already got it prepped. His the IK is turned off on his right foot. Oh, right foot. Wrong foot. There you go. Turn that one back on for now. I'm going to create an auxiliary effector. Puts it right at his ankle. On his left foot. Yes, left foot. My right brain is arguing with my left brain right now. So on his left foot's going to come in here. He's going to plant right about here. I'm going to turn off IK, and you can see it's just going to stay there because there's no animation on it. Remember, you create these things, there's no animation. It's going to hit right here at frame 8. I'm going to remember that. What I want to do is I want to take that and I want to parent it to the Jeep or vehicle, buggy, whatever this is called. I guess I can parent it anywhere you want. I'm gonna parent it right to the Geo. Yeah, I'll parent it to the Geo. Parent. There you go. So what I did was I held down X, clicked and dragged and dropped it right on the Geo. There we go. At frame 8. And then he's going to come down, and then he's going to start to kick up right there. So I'm going to, on an animation layer, I like to do this on animation layers. I'm going to set a key on body part mode. Make sure I'm on body part mode, set a key. So it's frame 8. Just set a key. These are, what I'm doing right now is I'm just tagging where I want my keys to be. It's going to come in, and he's going to start to lift up like this to right there. I'm going to align it there like that. So it's going to kind of move with him. Then he's going to jump off and up into the vehicle. So then what I'm going to do is it's time to turn on IK, and turn it on and off. So he's going to come in on one frame before it's off, so I'm going to set key. I'm going to come into the frame where I want it on, and I'm going to turn it on, key. He's going to come up. You can see his foot still following it because I just basically animated it with his foot. Right there, I'm going to key it because I'm getting ready to turn it off. Go forward one frame, turn it off like that. Key. And you can't, because it's a simple animation, you can't tell that his foot is actually locking to the buggy. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put in some animation on the buggy of the compression. By the way, his hand is actually grabbing up here too. Maybe I should, yeah, look at that. His hand is grabbing. So I'm going to, let me do the same thing for his hand. I'm going to create an auxiliary effector. Turn that off. I'm going to parent it to the geo, or you can parent it to the rig. You basically need to parent it to the part that's going to move. So he's going to come in. It's going to, yeah, that's where he hit. So that's where I'm going to set my bookmark key. Kind of does a little wiggle right there, but probably right about there. Set another key. Then he's going to come up and twist as it comes off to right there. Translation, rotation, set a key. And that's where it's going to come off. So now I'm going to key that. So I'm going to key this on, key, go forward one frame, key that off. Come all the way to the beginning, set my on keys, come over, set my off keys. So now his hand is rotating as well. Get him into place, then he grabs a hold of here and puts his hand on the back rest. I guess it sticks for a second, doesn't it? So what I'll do is I'll come over here and I'm going to grab, I can actually create another node if I wanted to be complex. And for the sake of this tutorial, I think I will be complex. After I turn on this music, hold on. There we go. There we go. So I'm gonna, for the sake of the tutorial, I will be complex. So I will create another auxiliary effector, and I will same thing, parent it to this, parent, turn it off, set my bookmark key. It starts to slide down right there. That's where I'll turn it off. So, all right, so on, key, frame forward, turn it off, come down, turn it off. So you can't tell again because it pretty much matches this hand keyed animation. But you're going to see the effects here shortly, like right now. So now I'm going to add some compression and some weight to this vehicle. Again, if you right click and animate something, small movements, right? All right, so he's going to come in and he's going to hit about frame 8. So I'm going to set my first key there on the vehicle. Then he's going to come in and compress. I'm going to compress down to like the lowest point that I think it's going to be. I'm going to compress that down like that. So as he comes in, he's going to go boom. And then as he comes up, probably right about here, it's actually going to start rotating up. See how this looks real time? So we're starting to get it, right? Boom. And because his hand is keying as well, his hand is sticking to the areas where I put the auxiliary effectors in. Let's make this, so right now all I did was kind of like rotate the vehicle a little bit. So let's come in. I think his weight, go to local. I think his weight's actually going to push the vehicle as well. So let's move it a little bit this way. And let's move it down like that. Just a little bit, just small increments. Now, it's not just going to go down and come back up. You're going to have some bounce in that, right? Because it's springs and shock absorbers and stuff. So as it comes up, I'm going to go back forward a few frames, and I'm going to raise it up a little bit. Maybe come up this way. I'm not super happy with the keys and the timing. Let's play with that a little bit. What I'm really looking for is a good feel and timing to how the suspension system is bouncing. I think as he pushes off, I think I'll have it come back down. So I think I want... I think I'm going to have it come back up. It's going to be a little bit stiffer suspension. It's an off-road vehicle. Off-road vehicles have stiff suspension. So it's going to bunk. Then it kind of comes back. Yeah, okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So it's going to go bunk. And then I'm going to zero it out right there. So as he does the second push, so he lands on it, right? And it compresses and pushes down. And then it kind of comes back down again as he comes up, but this is going to rock back this way and then come settle back down. Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. Again, I'm using with the auxiliary effectors. I'm not worrying about his foot contact because I've already defined it. I've already defined his foot and his hands. His other hand, which is hitting this bar, the frame of this windshield, I'm going to use a pivot on that. I'm going to show you a really easy way to animate a hand to slide around a bar using the pivot. But for right now, just auxiliary effectors. So, okay, anyways, not bad. It's getting there, right? Shunk, up, down. There'll probably be a little bit more back and forth as it kind of like settles. again, what I'd really probably do is come in here into my graph editor, and I'd probably block it out. Broad brush strokes, right? Broad brush strokes, kind of go this way and that way, and pushing keys around to kind of get the timing. And then I would go and I would refine my curve in the F-curve editor. So it kind of comes down, and I only have to worry about the Z because I'm only rotating it in the Z. So down, up. I think I want this up a little bit higher to compensate for how far down it compressed. And then it kind of neutrals back. Well, maybe it dips down just a little bit more. So what's happening is it's going to compress down a lot because he's jumped on it. It's recovered. Then he kind of kicks off. I think this needs to go this way, these keys, because it's going to trail behind him. So he kicks off. And it's going to come up higher, but it's not going to come up quite as high. So what I'm looking at is I'm looking at what the 0 is. The 0 is here. I don't want it to necessarily hit 0 because I want that back and forth motion. And if I don't overshoot it, in this case I'm going to drag it down below 0. It'll feel like it's hitting like a board or a solid piece of concrete or something. We're not going to get that kind of bounce that we want. A little bit of a wiggle. Again, minimizing it, and then coming up here and zeroing that out. By the way, if you want to zero something out, you can select it. There's a little 0 key right here. You can say 0, and it will zero that out. Or whatever you have zeroed out. So let's say you wanted to zero a bunch of stuff out. You can actually select a whole bunch of stuff and just say 0, and it will zero it out. Hey, thanks for the follow. Hey, it's Jay. Jay's in the chat room. Hey, Jay. What do you say? How you doing? Sup? What? Jay can tell you how he can do it better. He's like, but Brian, I animate circles around him. That was my Jay impression, by the way. Man, Jay, I hope you're feeling good and you feel well rested. We can't wait to have you back at work. So where was I? Oh yeah, let's look at these curves of the bounce. Shunk, bunk, and he plops down. So, I mean, everything that I'm doing here can be elaborated on. Every time he hits and sits, sound like he's going to plop down right there. Maybe as soon as his butt hits the seat. Guess what I can do? Have you guessed what I can do yet? Let's see what happens. What can I do with his butt as soon as his butt hits the seat? Create an auxiliary effector. That's right. If you said auxiliary... Don't ask me why they drop it between his legs. Yeah. Parent it to that. Parent. All right. Let's turn that off. Set my my 0 key. Well, his butt's just planted. I don't have to set another 0 key, right? So he comes in and turn that on. Next frame, turn it off, or go one frame forward or back, one frame back and turn it off. So let's grab this. As soon as his butt hits the seat, set my key. Kind of give it a little bit of a wiggle. Oh, too much of a wiggle. So there we go. The power of Motionbuilder, the power of the control rig, the power of auxiliary effectors, and soon you'll see the power of auxiliary pivots. Not bad, not bad. All right, let's look at his hand now. So he's got this other hand, right? And let's say it doesn't matter if I'm doing motion capture or hand keying it. I need to get it around the bar. It needs to rotate around this bar. How can I get that to work? Well, I mean, this is already edited animation, right? So it's already going around the bar, but I'll just show you kind of what I did and what I would do in the future if I had to do this again. So he's going to come down. I'm going to create an auxiliary pivot. This is out here. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to actually find the center of whatever the bar is that he's going to be wrapping his hand around. The great thing about this is you don't lock things down. I don't know if that makes sense. You'll see. So I'm going to come in here. Let's say I like it right there. That's my first guesstimation of where it will work. All right. So now that it's on that bar, I can see if it's going to work. And if it doesn't work, I can come back up here and go to pivot mode, which is insert. And I can move this maybe up here. Go back to being able to edit it. Now I can see kind of how it's going to kind of wrap and rotate around this bar as I animate. So let's say right here, I set a key. I want his hand to rotate down a little bit to right there. So now I can rotate his hand around the bar. The pivot point, by the way, takes the same rotational axis as the wrist. Or anytime you create an auxiliary pivot, it's going to be whatever the rotation is of that effector. How do you prevent the hand from just clipping through the rail? The best way to do that. With this is how I do fingers. I mean, I think other animators do them other ways, but the way I would do it, and I'll do it here because I'm editing a piece of motion that's already edited. You'll see his hand clipping through the bar. So let me do this, and I will show you. I'm gonna set a key there, so his hand is kind of coming around. I'm gonna turn on the IK, so it's going to go exactly where I want it to go. You can see his hand's kind of coming through the bar again. I'm going to maybe slip it around like so. And you can see that how his hand is kind of stuck there. And it's stuck there because, remember, when I create these things, they doesn't come in with animation. So right here, I'm gonna key this on. I'm gonna go forward a frame. I'm gonna key it off. I'm gonna do the same thing on the end. Key, go forward a frame, key. But because I've manipulated the animation, I'm gonna go make sure I have a 0 key set. So this is gonna zero out any offsets that I might have keyed on this arm. So 0, Nothing here, but the other side, because I manipulated it, will 0. Where is it? 0. So there. All right, so now I kind of I have what I want. And now I want to do a finger pass as per the question of manipulating the fingers. I quite literally, I'll come in here, make sure I'm on body part mode. Yeah, I am. And I will start figuring out where I need to start setting all my keys, where it's starting to clip through. Like right here, you can see his thumbs clipping through. And I'll just come in here and I will repose the hand to fit the shape. I don't think there's a magic control or setting to do this. And this is why I work in split screen with this off to the side. So it's easy to just grab the fingertips and get this stuff posed how I need it to be posed. Let's get oh, he's got a thumb that I can't hardly control. What is it with characters and crazy thumbs? So I'll just come in here, I'll start setting keys. And sometimes I'll go as far as setting like key, just one right after another, one frame right after another, to kind of get that tactile feel of the character gripping onto something or touching something. So here his fingers are actually going to do the opposite of clipping in. They're actually going to lift off. Again, this is why the control rig is so nice, is that you can easily go in here, and I like to grab the end of the finger, translate it, and then rotate the tip to kind of quickly get the hands into place. His hands are going to come off, which I don't want. I want them to actually stay in contact. So yeah, this is all I do for keeping the fingers from clipping through or staying in contact. I like that. All right, so this frame feels, good. This frame feels good. How do the frames between them feel good? How do they feel? Not too bad. They're not lifting off like I was anticipating. Then I come down here. Remember I say when in doubt, zero it out. 0. Let's see how they wrap around. Let's see. Oh, I went in doubt 0. Yep, that's it. Let's see. Is that a common fix for clipping? Just make a single digit or something so you don't get that wide of an angle. So now it just doesn't care. Yeah, I think so for the most part. I mean, you have floor contacts, so I did some animation on a video game. I won't say the name of the game, but you might be able to guess which game it is. I did some work on a video game where one of the characters grabs the other character and slams that character into a wall or a tombstone or something like that. It's like a kill move. and the way they captured it, the actor, you're not going to actually slam an actor's head into the wall, right? So let me do this, so that way I can be more expressive. So the actor took her, and he was careful with her, and kind of like slammed her. He also did it to there's a female and a male actor. He had to do this to both of them because you had male and female characters in the game. He had to slam them into the wall, and they had a big foam mat, and they hit the mat, and they were like this, and their hands were like just all cushy and soft and spongy. And I was kind of talking about how sometimes you have to take that out. You have to take that sponginess out of the motion to make it feel like it's a hard impact. So what I did was I took the floor contacts for the hands, and I rotated them up, and I put them against the wall. So when the actor or when the character came and hit the wall, their hands went and it stuck to the wall, and I was able to get that nice, slam kill against the wall, and the hands just kind of, they never went past the wall, and it made it feel really, really good. And I was like proud of myself for going, hey, look what I can do. But I'm actually trying to get permission right now to be able to use some of those animations and characters in my tutorials. So I'm just kind of waiting to hear back on that. So that's one way. Also fingertips. You can do the same thing with the fingertips. If you have everything set up correctly and you got the character with their hands on the desk, you can bring the floor contacts up to the desk height, and their fingers will come down and they'll stop from going through. But occasionally you're going to have a lot of contact where hands are like grabbing a hold of something or fiddling with something, and they're sliding around things, and you're going to have to come in there and you're going to have to like pose those fingers as it's going around, and sometimes you have to go frame by frame. It's just the way it is. I know they do that in movies sometimes, whenever they have to kind of get that tactile feel. So, anyways, I hope that answers your question. I hope. Some games it looks like every item nearby is Ark of the Covenant and must be avoided at all costs with wide sweeping animations. Yes. Working on a game like what I'm working on right now and being able to grab just about anything, you have to have tech behind that to make that work. And so you have to figure out how can I get my hand in every possible shape to hold. Am I holding a tablet, or am I holding a book, or am I holding a baseball, or am I holding a cup? And what kind of cup am I holding? Is it a regular cup? Is it a coffee cup? Is it a wine glass? And you have to kind of figure out how can I do this across the universe and not kill the animators. Yes. A red wine. I think it's red. Red wine is the one you hold from the bottom, right? White wine is the one you hold from the stem. Am I right? I don't know. So anyway, so this is just kind of like the basics, by the way, of these. And when you're done, you can plot it all down and export it to game. So let me put that on repeat while I chit chat. Let me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot everything down. So now it's plotted. All that stuff that I did is plotted down. And I plotted back. So now I'm going to select everything and delete it. So it's just him. Let me go to another one. Because when I did these animations, I had to get the guy jumping in from all sides. So you can see the difference in just putting a little bit of shake in the vehicle compared to nothing, like static. Yeah, he's jumping up and going around, but you don't really have, it doesn't have that really good bouncy feel to it. There he is coming from the other side. Let's see. So would you say it's better to potentially have some minor clipping here and there, such as an RPG where you're frequently acquiring new armor weapons, or to have the sweeping safe animations? You have to use your best judgment on where to put your fidelity. I believe that sometimes you're just going to have clipping. There's no way around it. It's a video game, and unless there's something very specific to your game that, or you're working with something that's very like centered around a certain feature, I guess you can put it. I guess you can say. Like in an MMO, because you can have so many different outfits and so many different weapons, you can't have, you know, a million animations of reloading a rifle when you can have, you know, 30 different rifles and, you know, 50 different types of gloves you can wear and 50 different coats. At some point, you're just going to have to accept the fact that you're going to clip through some geo. That's just the nature of a video game. If it was a movie, it'd probably be a lot different, because these would be like one-off bespoke animations that you see for a few frames in a movie or a television show. But for a game, it's going to play over and over and over again, and you can see it from all the different angles, and you kind of have to balance. You have to balance how much time it takes you to be able to put that fidelity in versus how many animations you have to deliver, and when does the game ship. I don't know. Hope that answers your question. So anyway, let's see. I have to admit, this is kind of really all I planned on showing tonight. Again, my girlfriend had just she had heart surgery last week. Yeah, it was last week now. Yeah, so she was recovering, and she's kind of been recovering, and I've been helping her out. And my parents literally just moved down to Austin like yesterday, so I'm over at their house helping them out. And we're like my girlfriend was like tracking them all over town, helping them get utilities hooked up and what have you today. So it's been a very, very busy day. See, part of it too should be properly modeling the assets intended for your game characters to interact with, to make sure the paths of the characters aren't going to be touching. Yes, yeah, that's a good point. And you generally try to do that right from the get-go, right? So if you have a game like Tomb Raider or God of War or something like that, you know what Kratos looks like, you know what Lara Croft looks like. It's well defined right from the very beginning. These are the weapons and things that they're going to be using. These are the different outfits that they can potentially wear, and you work within that. And while they have very large animation sets that are amazing and beautiful and you can spend a lot of time on, imagine being able to randomly make Kratos skinny or fat or tall or a girl, and being able to put any outfit that you want on Kratos. That's the challenge of an MMO, like Warcraft or any of them really. working to the lowest common denominator. So what happens a lot of times is it'll work really good for like 1 or 2 outfits, but every other outfit the hands will either slightly be hovering off to the side or slightly clipping in. You kind of have to pick your battles. Female Kratos for the win. Yeah, I'd play that game. I think that'd be pretty cool. Alright. What else? Maybe I should do another animation here. Let's see. What has he got? Turret guy. He jumps into the back. Boink. Yeah, let's do this one. His hand misses, doesn't it? His hand is off. Both of his hands are off. Well, I think we can fix that. All right. So here we go. Let's create an animation layer. And jumps. We're going to find where that foot comes into contact, which is right here. I'm going to show you another trick. All right, another trick. Here we go. I'm going to create an auxiliary effector. I'm not going to do the whole body like I did last time. I'm just going to do one foot. All right, so auxiliary effector, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to take it. This time I'm going to parent it to the control rig if I can. So parent. All right, there we go. So there is that. Then his other foot comes. Actually, I'll do both feet. Stop it. There we go. Let's turn off that pinning just for the heck of it. Right there. Create auxiliary effector. Parent it. There we go. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot down. Now you're going to ask yourself, why did you plot that down? Well, let me show you. So now, because it's plotted down, those effectors are hitting that and moving with the feet exactly. So as his foot comes up and hits that bar and kind of rotates around it, and kind of does this little bouncy adjust thing. Come around to this other side. If I move this around to make it bounce, you can see it's actually moving the, if I move it way down here, you can see it's moving those effectors with it. So what I can do is go ahead and I'll turn this on. I'm going to turn it on at about the right time. So right there. Key. Actually put that back a frame. Turn that on, key. So now it's on. Then his other foot hits right there. Key that on. Go back a frame, turn that off. All right. Now let's make the shake. Set my key right where his foot makes contact. Let's make it drop a little bit in the back. So what I just did here is I took my 0 key and I pasted it right where I want it to actually go up. Right there. And the reason why I did that is it helps me go past 0 without having to look at numbers. Just a lazy technique, I guess. And then back to 0. There he goes. Now, why did I do this? It's because his foot is actually rotating around the bar a little bit as he steps up and over. And if this was motion capture, you would have all this nice movement in the animation that you want to preserve. And before I just keyed, aligned, keyed, and it was kind of linear. Wasn't really moving with the foot, so to speak, as it kind of picked up and off that railing or that floorboard that was over here. So by baking it down, I keep all that motion of his foot coming into contact with the bar and kind of like rotating around it. And that is why I did it that way. All right, so his hands are obviously missing this. So let me come up here and I'm gonna see if I can get this to be fixed. So right there, his hand should be on it. I think I'm gonna do this with just regular IK. I'm not gonna use an effector. Just going to turn on IK on that hand. I'm going to set a key right there to bookmark where I want it. I'm going to get this into place. Translation rotation. There we go. Pin that down so it doesn't move. Put that into place. And set my key. So there we go. And then I'm going to come here and I'm going to 0 that out. So now I got my 0 key, so it's back to the original motion. As he grabs a hold, his hand is locked in there. I'm going to do the same thing for the other hand. I'm going to turn on my IK. Hits right here and he grabs a hold right there. Let's get that into place. Set my key. And I think my 0 key should maybe be right here. I say maybe because I'm not quite sure. I think I want his hand over this way. So what I'm doing right now, even though this was hand keyed, I'm treating it like motion capture. And that's kind of like a really cool thing about Motionbuilder, right? So it's so good at dealing with motion capture that when you hand key something and you go and you put all this fidelity in, you're using the 12 principles of animation, you've planned your shot, you've done all this work, you've spent a lot of time in it. When all is said and done and you've baked everything down and the director comes back and says, hey, can you fix this thing? You attack the problem, not like you're hand keying anymore, like you would in let's say Maya or Max. You attack it with the mindset of motion editing. I've got a great animation that I need to adjust, but I don't want to think about it like I'm keyframing. I want to think about it like I'm editing motion capture. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. And right here, I'm going to 0 that out. Set my 0 key there. There we go. So now, all right. So now he grabs on. I like this. Do I want any more bouncing in here? The pins on the hand, are you talking about up here in the character controls? I can show you what that does. So you have two types of pinning. See. Oh yes, yeah, okay, so yeah, you're talking about pinning them up here. All right, making sure I'm understanding you correctly. So you have your hand, you go and you pin them. Say I want to move this arm around. That pinning, because translation is on and rotation is on, that hand is not moving. It's not going anywhere. If I come in here and I turn off, let's say, rotation, which I do sometimes, and I come in here and start moving around, you can see that his hand is now moving, but it's locked in place. I can also do the opposite. I can unpin translation but pin rotation. See if I can get a good angle on this one. When I go to rotate, you can see that his hand is staying rotated with the arm, or in place where that control is. So because I turned it on, when I came over here to put it in place, instead of, let me turn this off and show you. So instead of having to come in here and go and then rotate and then push and then get it up and rotate into place, by turning on pinning, it allowed me to just take it and slide it wherever I want, because that hand is not going to rotate. It's pinned, essentially. So the power of pinning. I love being able to pin stuff down. All right, so he comes in and grabs a hold, and do I want to do anything else to this? No, I think I'm good. I'm going to plot this down. Plot to skeleton, plot to control rig. Now I'm going to add a little more fidelity to this. Let me think, how can I do this? All right, I'm going to delete these feet. I'm going to create one for his hips. I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to parent it to the turret. And I'm going to plot this down. So now he's moving. It's moving with his body. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this on. I'll show you why. Because I've parented it to the turret when he jumps up here. I bet you can guess what's going to happen. Let me go find that turret. It's around here somewhere. Here it is. Wait, did I parent that? I thought I did. Why is it not moving? Oh, it's because the geo is weighted to the bone, but silly me. All right, so with it turned off, I'm going to parent it to the correct joint, which will be... Wait, which one is it? Yeah. So I'm going to parent it to the correct joint, which is going to be the heading. Come on. Parent. There we go. So there's the hips effector now parented to the right joint, and if I move it around, you can see it's actually swinging with it. So let me reparent that. Plot to skeleton, or rebake it down, I guess is a better word. Plot to control rig. So I had to rebake down because I had it originally baked to the geo, or parented to the geo by mistake. All right, so if I turn this back on, I gotta turn the IK on his hands off to make this work. If he hops on the turret, I can now rotate him and get him to follow the turret. Cool, huh? All right, let's add more detail to this. I like this. This is fun. So let's let's get his hands on this this weapon. I think I want it right here. I want them parented to that joint. So create auxiliary effector, create auxiliary effector. I'm gonna select both of these and hold down X, click drag, parent it to there. And I can tell you right now I made a mistake. So after the initial hop up onto the vehicle, you're absolutely right, and I'm gonna get to that in a second. Promise you. But yes, good call, by the way. That's a good catch. You're absolutely right. There would be more jiggle and settle. There, I gave you a Lupin icon for you. But anyways, so I made a mistake. I accidentally did this before his hand actually came in. So I'm going to have to fix that. And I'm going to have to align that. There we go. Now it's in the right spot. Now I'm going to do the same thing, make this more complex. This is going to be exciting. I'm going to do the same thing I did for the feet. I'm going to plot this down. Which is now baked the hands down to him grabbing this. You'll see what I'm up to here in a sec. So which means I can now take his hand and I can actually, technically I can turn it on whenever I want because it's baked down and it follows the animation exactly. But I'm going to actually do it when he actually grabs a hold of the, where I think he's grabbing a hold of the turret. I'm going to do it right here. I'm not going to do the other hand just yet because I'm going to show you what kind of trickery I'm up to. So this gun has like a couple different pitches to this. It's been a long time since I played with this. I'm going to grab both of these and I'm going to set a key right there. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this. Maybe a little bit of this. And then I'm going to zero this out. There we go. Let's kind of see how that motion feels. It's a little fast. It's okay. It's demonstration purposes. I'd probably tone it down a little bit. There's my curves. So what I can do to tone this down is I can actually grab these together and I can actually just pinch. It's a great way of just manipulating your curves. Maybe these need to come forward a frame. Sometimes shifting a key forward or backwards one frame is all you need. All right, so now let's look at this other hand. All right. So as you can tell, that's going with the turret exactly. It's exactly how it was animated when that gun was static. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe right about here. I'm gonna key it. I'm going to go forward in time to right about here. I'm going to turn it on. So it's going to blend over a little bit of time, over 3 or 4 frames. And you can see his hand is actually coming down and meeting the weapon. With very, very minimal effort on my part, right? It's sometimes it's working smart. It's kind of you gotta think about your workflow and think, how can I do the same thing in as few steps as possible? And when that happens, you can save hours, even days off of your time. I could have not done that and had to go by hand and just done all sorts of other crazy stuff, but in this case, I wanted to preserve some of that motion of him grabbing a hold of that. And even though this is hand-keyed stuff, just if this was raw mocap, it'd be the same principles. Same principles apply. All right, so let's see here. So not only is he going to jump up here, I think I'm going to make this turret turn. Probably maybe right about there. Right when his right foot's getting ready to step off. Let's have him swing out this way. See how that feels. Whoa, that was quick. Let's pull that out a few frames. Let's look at our curve. The curve doesn't look too bad. It's just so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 frames, so it's 1/3 of a second. That's pretty fast, actually. So maybe I want to tone down how far it turns. Or I would need to extend my time past 35 frames and extend this, not within the scope of the animation, but just as an example. Let's add a little bit of extra animation to him just for the heck of it, right? Where did it was 35 frames, right? So I'm going to set a full body key here, because that's the end of his actual hand keyed animation. I'm going to go all the way over here. I'm going to give him a cool pose. Maybe what he does is yeah, right? Just like I said, just sometimes it's just one frame, right? Looks a lot smoother. Oh, I gotta lock his feet down. How am I gonna do this? Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create some auxiliary effectors on his feet as well, because I need to get his feet pinned. So turn that off. Parent them to the heading. Plot all that down. Turn the feet on. Full body key comes around here. Maybe he does this. Set that key. Oh, it comes. I wonder if I do it this way. No, that doesn't work. I'm re-familiarizing myself with the way this turret works. That might be too much. Get over there. That looks silly. Let's fix that. Get him to look up. His elbows are a little far out to the side. I feel like he'd have been pulling his arms down, causing those elbows to come down as he tried to crank that cannon up. There we go. So yeah, that's pretty good. But I think he's going to lead the cannon, right? His body motion is actually going to cause that cannon to go up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that last key, I'm going to push it forward maybe 5 frames, see what it looks like. Maybe a few more frames. You need to think of an anime character for tonight. What are your plans to do with an anime character? Wikipedia. Did I get your name right? Wikipedia. Awesome. So, all right, so he comes down, he kind of throws his weight into lifting that up. And I think he's going to come back up just a little bit. Like lean in to fire. So anyways, there you go. Quick and dirty animation. Oh, that's cool. It's always nice to put stuff out there for your friends. Let's turn that turret a little bit more. I think we should make him lean into the turn. What do you think? I keep selecting the turn. All right, so jumps up, puts his foot here. I'm gonna slide that this way. Yeah, I like that better. So I think he's gonna lean into this to help drive it in this direction. I think I'm going to have his head. His head needs to track, right? So let's make his head track. Oh, first person view? I could do that. I could turn this into a first person animation. Let me make his head actually look. So I figure what's going to happen, he's going to jump up. Let me go to body part mode. So I'm only controlling his head now. Animating for third person is definitely very different than animating for first person. When you're animating for first person, you have to be very cognizant of not making the player motion sick. You have to be very cognizant of how the player character is interacting. Let's see. Let's add a camera to our scene. Camera. Don't need the camera interest. Let's take it. Let's find his head. I'm doing this quick and dirty. Parent it to that. Zero that out. And local. Can't see what the camera's doing. Where's the... Oh, it's a big camera. All right. So it's zeroed out to his head. So let me hold down J, and it'll snap as you rotate. There we go. I'm going to make that camera smaller. Let's push this out and make it where his eyes would be. All right, so select his head. And let's hit E a couple times. There's the camera. So if I come back here, making motion sick. So that's not how it animate first person, right? So usually there would be a control. Okay. There's two ways to handle first person in a game. Most of the time there's a separation between the first person assets and the third person assets. And the third person assets will not render from the first person view for the player, but it will render for other players. So if you were to look at me, you would see my body doing its thing. But what I would see is my body would not render. I would see you, and I would just see my hands or props or whatever I happen to be working with moving around, right? So there's a disconnect between the animation my third person character is doing and the first person, which is probably very steady, where the body's moving around but the head is like, I don't know if I can do this. But the head's like completely steady. or the head cam is like completely steady. And if it's all in the same body, which we're going to do here since I don't have any sort of constraints, it's controlled by this. So what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? Let me think about this. I bet I can put in an auxiliary effector and turn off translation so I only get rotation. Now it's just a little control. I'm going to set keys on. Little control I'm going to set keys on. So as he jumps up here, I'm figuring this out as I go, folks. Oh, what did I do? I messed something up. We're going to get rid of that key. So he's turning, but the head cam is not turning. So I'll need to compensate. Probably a better way of doing this, I have to admit. Like starting out knowing that it's supposed to be first person. All right, so let's see how that looks. Super fast. What are things that are missing? Let's go to our navigator and look at our camera. So our field of view right now is 40, which is pretty small. So a lot of times with the camera, I'll go and I'll put it in whatever the aspect ratio is. Usually it's HD, so 1920 by 1080. So now we're getting a better aspect ratio for the camera. A lot of times I'll turn on action safe, title safe, just so I know that if I'm looking through that camera. And then I'll change my field of view. Let's see, where's it good? Maybe right here. I usually try to get close to whatever the game setting is. Whoa. So this would be like a first pass. Then I go back and I do like a steady cam pass where I kind of like tone it down even more. Let's go to 1. I think that's too fast too. Like this works really well for third person, but I think for first person, this motion is way too fast. Let's see. Let's go to half speed. I'll just do it like this. This is too slow. But I think it gives you an idea of the potential. You know, it's really fun when you're on a set and you have your actor out and they're reading inside of Motionbuilder Live and inside the environment or the set, and you switch over to the head cam because it's there, and all of a sudden now you're looking at everything that the actor's looking at as they go around and they do things. And if you could hook up virtual reality to your goggles at that point, and like everywhere you're looking, you see in game or in your virtual environment. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that's right. Need a 2/3 or 3/4 speed, right? Really slow, 0.10. Back to half speed. Oh, I popped the camera out accidentally. I popped the camera out of his head. You know what the bad thing about accidentally bumping a camera is? No undo. Oh wait, there is an undo. They put it in 2019. Yay! Used to not be able to undo the camera. You bump it, you're SOL. So yeah, things that I would do is I would have a control rig specifically for the camera. It would be able to bake it down, take poses. It'd have its own controls. I'd bake everything down. I would then start manipulating those controls to kind of like fix banking and all sorts of other things that kind of like tend to make people motion sick. All right, let's go back to full speed. Let's get rid of Mr. Head Cam for now. Delete that. Let's get rid of the camera. Let's go back to full speed, because know what I have not forgotten about something. I have not forgotten about all that extra stuff. So he's jumping on. So let's add a little more wiggle into this. I think as it swings out to the side, I think the centrifugal force would probably make it rock this way a little bit. Zero that out at the very end. Little bit. I don't know if my timing is 100%, but probably have a little bit of recoil on that, a little bit of bounce. So what I'll do is I'll come here in the middle of these two keys where I want the bounce, and I'll take my 0 key because that's where I want it to end up, and I'll paste it, and then I'll rotate the other direction just a little bit. There we go. A little bit of bounce. Probably a little over exaggerated, but not too bad. Stylized. And so far, I'm just kind of like doing basic rotation, right? So let me see here. I think what I can do is I can be like, all right, so he's hitting with his right foot right here. So it bounces down like that, but I could also probably put a little bit of twist in it, like that, because his weight's going a little more to the right side. Just little things to kind of like make it feel a little more, you know, real. What happens if I make? I wonder what happens if I make this guy go up. Should work. I'm just screwing around now. Let's see what else. What else can we look at? So. To kind of recap, kind of go back to where we were at. We were talking about auxiliary effectors, auxiliary pivots, kind of touched on the control rig, basic in and outs of kind of how it works. It's an IK-FK system that both work together in a symbiotic relationship. You kind of have to understand that, you have to kind of understand what control is controlling the control rig at what time, depending on what's turned on and off. Auxiliary effectors, auxiliary pivots, how can they be used, just examples and scenarios of being able to jump up onto things, quickly pin feet, hands, elbows, or whatever you really need to pin at any given time. I love how quick and easy it is to make an auxiliary pivot, how quick and easily it is to parent to something. And yeah. So then I should plot this all down. I'm going to plot this whole thing down. Plot to skeleton. Plot to control rig. And then I'm just going to delete all this stuff. He's plotted down. I'll tell you why I'm deleting all that stuff. Of course, he's like spot on because he's baked down, even though he's no longer technically attached to this vehicle. I did that so I can go look at this other animation where he hops in. So pro tip, you'll probably see it in here. I have these little spacers. Whenever you're doing a bunch of animations, it's good to put spacers in to help keep yourself organized. Let me raise this up here. And so you keep things grouped. Like I have all my stuff grouped together here. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to create another spacer. I can either come up here and say, new, and just create it from scratch. Or I can take an existing one and say duplicate. I'm just going to drag this up to the top because this is kind of how I work. Lately I've been putting names in, so I'll say like working, or whatever it is that I'm working on. I'll name it. And I'll usually drop things down below it or above it to get things organized. So this is driver left side, or side left. I'm going to drag it up. Bug. In case you were wondering why I did what I did just a moment ago, where I put it underneath and then I took the top when I dragged it down. Sometimes there's a bug where you can't drag, if it's the top take, you can't drag something above it. It automatically just shoots it down to the bottom of the list. So then we did what? Turret back. Yeah, so I'm going to take turret back and drag this up here. All right. So I did that so that it makes it easier to just jump back and forth between these two animations. So that's my pro tip. Organization. Make life easier on yourself by organizing. All right, so there we go. $22. Today is 22, so I chose Samurai Shampoo because it rhymes. I like it. Wow, I'm out of stuff to talk about. Normally I talk right up to 11:30, but here we are at about 11 o'clock. And I have shown you guys and gals so much. Probably, I mean, I've already baked it all down, but I could probably, and deleted all my control rigs, but I could probably even add a little bit of forward and backwards a little bit too. To kind of give it a little bit of something, although the wheels aren't rigged that way. They would just roll forward, back. The way this vehicle is rigged, I've got this kind of like control. And this, no, that's not it. I think that's just the aim. Oh no, this is the IK. That's it. Well, whatever. This is rigged with this joint. So they put this joint out here, and there's like another joint that kind of comes down here, which you can't see. And that does the math in engine in order to get this tire to rotate. Well, wrong joint for rotation. I think that's actually turning. I believe that's the heading. Let's go find that. There we go. And that here's the spin. So it knows the diameter of the wheel, and it has the mathematical equation to make it spin as it drives in game. All right, well, should I do another animation? Do I have time to do another animation? What can I talk about? Oh, switching. This is cool. So I had to do these switching animations. I guess this will be a show and tell. Do this last few minutes of show and tell. So you need to be able to change places in game. So let's say you jump in, but you actually get into the driver's side. And you're like, oh, I didn't mean to get in the driver's side. I meant to really get in the passenger side because, you know, maybe you suck at driving, but your buddy's really good. So you're like, oh, I'm going to let him drive. So I have this, like, I had to do these, like, quick little transitions from one seat to the next. And, of course, right here, he's actually coming up. and he's actually reaching down and he's grabbing whatever weapon you have equipped, and he's pulling it out to hold it up, which I think I have a weapon in here somewhere. Don't have any sets set up. Weapons, rifle, do rifle, there we go. Again, this is one of those clipping moments, but it's probably so fast you probably never even notice it in game. But now here's the question, right? If he is sliding across this way, how does the passenger get to the driver's seat? The passenger gets to the driver's seat like this. So they kind of do this little circle-y motion. But wait, it gets more complicated. What if you want to get into the turret and you're the driver? But what if you're the turret guy and you want to be, but you want to be the driver? Driver wants to be turret, turret wants to be driver. How does the turret guy get in? There we go, just like that. What about to the passenger? What do we got? Passenger to turret. But what if there's a driver in your Jeep and you want to get into the passenger side, but you're standing on the driver's side? Mount, passenger, left, side, left. Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard across the hood. I thought this was a fun animation. So, because this being a shooting game, the second a character starts to mount the driver's seat or the turret, but we'll use the driver's side for example. So I'm mounting the driver's side from the very back. The second you mount, so the second the character connects to the vehicle, which would be like this, literally this frame right here, you can start driving. You can start driving away. So literally, the Jeep is driving while you're still hopping into the seat, because they needed that quickie speediness to the game. They couldn't wait however, what is this, 55 frames? So it's 30 frames a second. So it's just under 2 seconds to be able to get him across, and that's a pretty quick animation to cover that amount of distance and traverse that geo. So same with the turret. The second you attach to that turret will snap into whichever direction the characters or the player's facing, and immediately be able to start firing in that direction because they wanted it like super fast. So passenger side right. I kind of want to play with the. It was a passenger left side. This was cool. I like this. How can I make this work? I think what I want to do is I want to create an auxiliary effector. Go to an animation layer. Parent that to the Jeep, because that seemed to work. Parent. Turn that off. And plot that down. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the hands and the feet. By the way, if you're like, I need to get a bunch of stuff unkeyed really fast, you can actually select everything. You should be able to unkey everything like that. But I'm actually keying it on and keying it back off. But you can unkey. Just make sure everything's unkeyed. All right, so I plotted this down because it's going with it. So now I'm going to turn it on. Select this. I'm kind of having fun animating this Jeep. I wasn't able to animate it for the game, but it's fun to animate. Set a key here. Lifts himself up, which is gonna maybe push that down and this down. So I'm using his timing to kind of like figure out my timing of getting this to rotate. Take my 0 key, paste it right there, paste another one right there. Back a little bit. You see how I got it to kind of feel like he's pushing down on the front of it and kind of rotating around it. I didn't really concentrate too much on his foot hitting that wheel, but that'd probably be something I think about. What else can I do? Hold on, let's grab this. Let's add a little bit of compression. Adds a little bit more oomph to him hitting that hood. So there you go, minimal effort. Minimal effort. Plot that down. You know, I'm going to go ahead and save my scene just because. Yeah, just that fast, right? Well, I mean, keep in mind, this being hand keyed, I actually spent some time hand keying it, but yeah, like if the director came in and said, "Hey, the Jeep is static. Can you make the vehicle rock?" Yes, I can. I can make it rock, and I can make it bounce back and forth. So some things that I haven't really touched on, things that an animator would probably think about, kind of touching back onto curves, is what the curve is doing. Like everything's really soft. Everything's got auto smooth on it, but you can add more. You can give different effects of how this thing bounces by playing with the spline. So I'm going to switch from auto to, like, I don't know, smooth. Deselect. There we go. I don't know if it comes through too much in the video, but it definitely feels a lot different, or a little bit different. Okay, so it compresses down right here. Kind of goes, maybe a little bit of a compression right here. This is the up and down. So let's see if I can, just a hair of compression. Not much. Sometimes a little bit is all you need. And then it's going to actually bounce up a little bit. And then it's going to bounce up a little bit. And then bounce down a little bit. Oh yeah, you like the vehicle rigging? So I was up really late last night putting a rig on this vehicle so it'd move around. I was like trying to figure out how to make, so this all these joints in this vehicle were designed to work with the way the game rigs in engine. So it's controlled by physics. And then what I did last night was I came in and I was like, how can I make this feel cool and alive? So I was like, took me a while to figure out what I needed to do to it, which brings me to dummy bones, right? So here's what a dummy bone is. This little yellow joint right here is actually not part of the rig that as the Jeep came in. This is a dummy joint that I created so that I can get a nice IK arm in order to be able to control this this vehicle the way I want it to be controlled. So it's just like an IK arm. It's a couple of aim effectors. Girlfriend is saying goodnight to the dogs.
I'm not saying goodnight to the dogs. I was saying goodnight to you.
And she's saying goodnight to me too.
You were sucking on me.
So there we go. But yes, yeah. So I went in there and I just there were just a bunch of aim constraints for like these things. And I didn't lock them down when I did the constraints, so I could pause. So I could actually aim these things at each other. Don't select that. Oh, another tip to kind of touch back on something I talked about before. If I'm having trouble selecting things, I can either put that in a group and lock it, or I can come over here and say just select joints. So now I can just select joints. There you go. So yeah, I just have it set up so that that joint aims at that joint and vice versa to get that. But yeah, it took me a while to figure out how to do this. But yeah, but basically, yeah, I just used all the joints that were originally in this thing. And when you get in game and you would play it, it would bounce and it'd have physics. So part of the reason why when the animations were part of the reason why the animations, he's jumping onto a static object, because the second you attach in this game in particular, see these little red nodes I have out here to the side? These are his attach spots. It's where I line him up with in order to get him to start animating. And there's an actual node in the seat. I don't know if it's in here. There's an actual node in the seat of this vehicle that he parents to in game. So in game, you say run up to the vehicle, use the vehicle which attaches you to the vehicle. It attaches you to the seat usually, or a node in the seat, and then the animation plays to that node. So all this stuff that I'm doing here by getting him to attach to the vehicle, joints are selected. There we go. That I'm doing here to get him to attach to the vehicle to do this, that happens in game. thus why the vehicle is static. I'm gonna push it a little bit when he gets onto the hood right here at that key. I'm gonna bring it up and this down. I'm just to see what happens. It may look horrible. I may have to undo all this. Do it that way. That's silly. Let's undo that a few times. Get it back to where it was. Yeah, so when I was trying to get those wheels to wiggle, I had in my head, I had what I wanted them to do. And it took me a while to figure out where to get that joint underneath the wheel to kind of get that rocking motion. So there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think I am about done for tonight. It is late and I have a video game to make tomorrow. But let me give you some quick news. Friday on RTV, they're going to have me do what I'm doing here at work. So if you tune in to our webisode, you should be able to watch me animate some of our emotes in game. Now, I was supposed to do this last week, but girlfriend had heart surgery, and so I was working from home on Friday, and I wasn't able to, or they're not able to have me broadcast from my house. So this Friday, day after tomorrow, I'll be in the office. And between 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Standard Time, as long as nothing gets in the way, I should be doing this. And I have, if you're not listening to Star Citizen on Twitch, you can always come to my channel and watch it through my channel, because I should be hosting anything we do on Star Citizen on my channel. So I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if there's going to be open chat for me to talk. I don't know if there's going to be a cool little window for me to be able to like look at you all and address the camera. I hope there is. I'll probably find out a lot tomorrow as we kind of do a quick dry test run through to kind of rehearse it. But anyway, if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop me a line. Put in the suggestion box if you have any ideas, or if there's something specific you want to see. I have to admit, I'm like running out of things to talk about, because to me a lot of this stuff is just second nature to get in and work. So yeah, if there's anything you all are wanting to see, that'd be great. I'm thinking about getting a buddy of mine to see if I can borrow one of his characters and he's a really good character modeler, does creatures, and I'm going to see if he can loan me one of his characters to rig and get in here and put motion capture on. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So I'm going to give him a call at some point. Sometimes he's on the ZBrush, whatever, Pixology. What's it called? the people who do ZBrush. He's on there occasionally, demoing his awesome skills. But anywho, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what kind of what more content I can bring to this. But anyway. I hope you all have a great night, and I hope to see you again. Oh, any FPS tips, first-person shooter tips? I have to think about that one. You want a tutorial on first-person shooter stuff? Like things to think about while doing first-person shooters? Yeah, I'll have to think about that. I'll have to see what kind of assets I have. Unfortunately, I can't use anything from work. But probably like old projects I might be able to use, or maybe I can find some assets somewhere. But anyways, yeah, if anybody when you subscribe or follow, or if you guys buy anything from any of my from my Amazon list below, or do gift subscriptions, if you're a Twitch Prime member, all that money is going to go into this channel. I'm going to go and I'm going to try to find motion capture resources. There's free stuff on the internet, but usually the free stuff's not like super good. So I'm possibly looking to buy some motion capture that I can use in these tutorials. Maybe some fun specific stuff. So if any of y'all feel generous and want to help out so I can keep these things coming, that would be awesome, and I much appreciated. But that being said, I hope you all have a good night, and I will catch you all again Sunday for my for when I do sculpting. So I'll be sculpting after Game of Thrones, because I know nobody watches my stream while Games of Thrones is on. But yeah. So I wish you all good night.